go over this topic because we're faced with amnesia in this truth. A lot of our people are faced with amnesia. We have problems understanding who we truly are as a people, and you know, a lot of us don't want to take heed to what we are. We're in camp today just talking to brothers and sisters about who we are according to the truth. And people are just walking by, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They want to take heed to what we were saying, you know. And this is their only true opportunity to hear this word. I mean, granted, they can turn on the TV, like we said, YouTube, Daily Motion, Instagram. You have all these resources, all these different social media inventions for us to learn this truth. But when they hear it on the streets, that's your opportunity to go and question brothers. Ask them questions, find out why. And our people, they don't consider. So we're going to go into the scriptures and just talk on why this is so. And we're going to show, just bring scriptures out proving who we are as a people in the Bible. Can you give me Colossians 3:17, first of all? So we are going to bring more common sense to the people, again, regarding the Most High's book. Basically, that's what we're doing. Go ahead.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by Him.
Everything we do is by action and by words. Right? And so that's how we're going to proceed in this truth. So when you look at the Most High, what does the Most High have in common with the earth? What conduit on the earth does He use? He uses people. Right. And so we're that vice. We're just as people. And I tell people this all the time. The Bible says, what advantage, can you get that real quick? Romans 3:3-1. The Most High says this to His people all the time. It's just we don't hear Him. Is there an advantage being a Jew? Is there an advantage being an Israelite? Is there an advantage being a Judean? Read that.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Verse 2. Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
So what is circumcision? Can you give me circumcision in this Bible dictionary? What is circumcision? What was the old circumcision?
Flesh.
Right. That was the covenant that we have with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Cutting of the flesh, cutting the foreskin off of the man's penis. That was the covenant that we kept that the heathens did not know about, nor did they keep. So it was with Abraham and his line. So we're going to look at what circumcision. So in the New Testament, it talks about a different circumcision. Can you give me that circumcision?
Circumcision, the Bible Compact Dictionary, page 112. The cutting off of the foreskin, a rite instituted by God as a sign of the covenant between Him and Abraham and his descendants, that He would be their God, and that they were to belong to Him, worshiping and obeying only Him. It was made a legal institution in the wilderness by Moses. Every male was circumcised on the 8th day after its birth.
All right, so this is what the covenant existed in the first covenant. That first covenant is still in existence. The second covenant, we are trying to issue the second covenant in now. Read on. Did that say anything? I'm going to talk more about it.
Other nations also practiced the rite. The Egyptians, the Arabians, etc. The Christian church refused to force Gentiles to be circumcised.
Okay. So the Christian church refused to force what?
Refused to force Gentiles to be circumcised.
All right. So it says the Christian church, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to get this book. It says that the Christian church refused to force circumcision on the Gentiles. All right. So in this book that I'm bringing out, it is called The Image of the Black in Jewish Culture, written by Abraham Malamed. Abraham Malamed. Now this book is a little confusing, but what it is a Jewish scholar. He's also an archaeologist. He is also a scientist. and he's also over a lot of different institutions. I want you guys to read. He's pretty honest, but you got to read through all the fluff to get to the understanding of what he's saying. Like most of their books, very hard to read. So I'm going to have this brother read page 215, and I want you to read the highlighted section, and it's going to go over to page 216. Read that.
Page 215. The Christian censor would not refer to the corrected text as if it referred to white Romans.
To white Romans. It said, start from the beginning again.
The Christian censor,
come on,
could now refer to the corrected text as if it referred.
Because most of us read stuff in history thinking that the white people were Christians, right? Come on.
Referred not to white Romans.
So it says not to white Romans, which is telling you the white Romans were not the Christians. Come on.
Who had become identified with Christianity.
Right. So today's time, they have been identified as the people of the Christians' time. Right. Keep going.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid. Come on.
But only to the blacks in Rome.
Only to the blacks in Rome.
By contrast with the white Romans. In the censor's opinion, the latter were idolaters by their very nature.
So it said the Christian white Romans were idolaters by nature, but the blacks in Rome were the Christians. Come on.
Indeed, we find it that in ancient Rome, there was a very large black community of slaves and freed men of low status.
So who were the slaves and freed men of low status? The Israelites. When we read Babylon and Timbuktu, it said over 1 million Jews fled into where? Africa. Now when you look at Carthage, that area is where a lot of the slaves that were black Jews, they were put in slavery there and shipped over to Rome. Okay, this book is called A History of the Jews, written by Abram LIONSROAR. We're going to go to page 123. I want to show you why you must use intellect when reading these books. This is page 123. And this is going to talk about the captivity of Judah during 70 AD. It says, the Jews paid for the omission. Their casualties were much greater than attended the destruction of the state in 70 AD. It is not improbable that 500,000 lives were sacrificed in the hopeless cause. Those who escaped death were rushed to the slave markets of the East, or to the gladiatorial arenas in the chief cities of the West. Okay, so this is where they was going to Carthage. Rome occupied Carthage after 70 AD. Scipio Africanus, Vespasian, right? These Roman emperors occupied these areas. Okay, on the site of the sanctuary, a temple was built in honor of Jupiter. Who is Jupiter? These are the statues that they call God today. They'll be like, oh, this is the statue of God. This is the statue of Peter, the disciple. No, it's Jupiter. These are false idols. If you go to Rome, they'll tell you all the time that this is the statue of the Basilica of Peter. And they'll show a statue. No, that's the statue of Jupiter, which is Zeus. You can read that in the book of Acts, chapter 19, chapter 17. It talks about Jupiter. I believe it's 17. But also in 19. Also in the book of Maccabees, 2 Maccabees chapter 7, it discussed, see the chapter 6 or chapter 7, and discussed about Jupiter, how the old men would try to persuade the young men to worship Jupiter. Okay, on the south gate of the city was placed the head of a what? Boar. What is a boar? Swine, or a pig, or a hog, which is an abomination to the Most High. So there was 4 gates in Jerusalem. So I understand what's going on. They're desecrating every gate in Jerusalem. This is the emblem of the 10th Legion. What is the 10th Legion? That is the army of Rome. The very name of Judah was discarded, and the province which had given the Roman legions so much trouble was renamed Syria Palestina. And this is where you get Palestine from. Philistia. All right. So there was Jews there. Jews were forbidden on pain of death ever again to set foot in Jerusalem. Only on the where did they go? Into the slums of Rome. Come on.
In southern European cities in the 16th century, too, there were large black communities, mainly slaves from Africa.
Mainly slaves from where?
Mainly slaves from Africa.
So who were the Christians in Rome?
Mainly slaves from Africa.
Mainly slaves from Africa were the Christians in Rome. Is that it?
Whose presence influenced the stereotype system of ordinary Christians.
Look at that. So who were the actual slaves in Rome? Blacks from Africa who were Israelites. You see that? So in their own books, these scholars, and this book costs about $100 and something bucks. Hundreds, and the price is steadily going up. They're telling you right here, who were the people in Africa? Now, grab that book right there, The Jewish Diaspora. Are you finished reading it?
Yes.
Okay. Grab that book, The Jewish Diaspora, and say the author of that.
The author is M. Avram in Rillick. The editor.
Okay, so this is the editor, M. Avram Rillick. This is volume 2.
Jewish Diaspora.
The Jewish Diaspora. Now, we just heard where the slaves came from, right? So I'm going to have this brother read Migrations of Jews into West Africa, starting there.
Mike, page 453, Jewish Diaspora. According to most accounts, the earliest Israeli settlements in Africa were in places such as Egypt, Tunisia, and Ethiopia.
So these are the earliest settlement of the Israelites. Come on.
Historians believe that these settlements may have been in existence as early as the kingdoms of David and Solomon.
All right, so what happened after King Solomon's time? The two kingdoms split. So during this time, where did the kingdoms go? Where did the southern kingdom and north, those who took off to escape, they went into Egypt, Ethiopia, and Tunisia, which is North Africa. Come on.
As well as during the Assyrian invasion in northern Israel in 722 BCE.
Okay.
And the Babylonian captivity of Judah in 586 BCE. In the Punic Carthaginian...
You said BC, before.
BCE.
Come on.
In the Punic Carthaginian age.
This is during the time of Hannibal, the Punic Carthaginian age. Come on.
These communities were augmented by subsequent arrivals of Jews after the destruction of the Second Jerusalem Temple in 70 CE.
In 70 CE, this is what HAMASHAYACH YAHAWAHSHI prophesied: run for the mountains, flee to the mountains, which is in Luke 21 and 24. So he's telling you where the Israelites went, they fled into West Africa. Come on.
When 30,000 Jewish slaves were settled throughout Carthage by the Roman Emperor Titus.
Wait a minute, so the Roman Empire conquered Jerusalem, let alone that, they also control most of the upper part of Africa. Scipio Africanus control all of that. Come on. Yeah, read on.
Africa is identified in various Jewish sources in connection with...
When you see Jewish, say Israelite.
Got you.
Because they'll tell you Jewish and they'll reframe your whole mind.
Yeah.
When you hear Jewish, think of Israelite when you read history. Okay? Because that's how they play that Jedi mind trick on you. It's Israelite. Come on.
Africa is identified in various Israelite sources in connection with Tarshish and Ophir. And the parallel passage where Africa land is evidently the same as Carthage.
Same as Carthage, come on. Because back then, most people didn't know anything below Libya, which was on the farthest part of West Africa at that time. It moved. Libya wasn't always where it is now. It used to be far west. I got a map that shows Libya way over there in Algeria. So Libya covered mostly, back in those days, Ethiopia. Then Libya was all the northern part of Africa. They called it Libya. It was Ethiopia first, then Libya, and then it became Africa. Come on.
The Septuagint and Jerome, who was taught by Jews.
Wait a minute. The Septuagint and Jerome was taught by who?
By Jews.
How was it taught by Jews? Jerome was from the Roman Empire. So how was he taught by Jews? Come on. And this is way afterwards. Way after 70 AD. Come on.
And very often, the Targum on the prophets identify the biblical Tarshish with Carthage, which was the birthplace of a number of rabbis mentioned in the Talmud.
Okay.
Africa.
So by them saying, you gotta look for the buzzwords and the keywords. When they said Talmud, the Talmud came way after 70 AD. So they're talking about if Jerome, who was a so-called priest in Rome, in the Vatican, or the church they call it, that means he learned from the Jews. And who were the Jews? We're reading about it. The Jews were the slaves in Rome. Okay, come on.
Africa, in the border sense, is clearly indicated where mention is made of the 10 tribes having been driven to exile by the Assyrians and having journeyed into Africa. Connected with this is the idea that the river Sabbathian is in Africa.
Right, so he's going to narrow it down now. Come on.
The Arabs, who also know the legend of Benai Musa, son of Moses.
Son of Moses, come on.
Agree with the Jews in placing their land in Africa.
Agree with the Jews that their land being placed where?
In Africa.
Okay, come on.
Migrations into sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay, that's the key. Sub-Saharan Africa. That's the whole part of, that's what they call Negro land. When you see some maps that say Negro land, the sub-Saharan area of Africa, or even the northern part of Sahara, is Negro land. Alright, come on.
In later countries, in later centuries, Jews were believed to have settled in Western Africa during the height of the Songhai, Mali, Ghana, and Kanem, Bornu empires.
Right, so these are the empires that we went in and flourished. We built up the temples and castles, everything. Come on.
According to the accounts from the explorers of the region, several Israelite families of the Songhai Empire were of Israelite origin.
Now, these are no white families living in these empires. Now, you could go talk to your pro-black African, what do they call it, with Sadetta? What do they call them? The pro-black Egyptian, whatever these brothers want to be. Kemetic community. They'll tell you in West Africa, there was no white man in West Africa. You talk to the Kemetic brothers, they'll tell you that. There was no white people in Africa. It was all brothers. It was all blacks. They had it tight. You couldn't just come up in there. They all worked together. Wasn't no Caucasians just coming up in there.
Close-knit community.
Yeah. If one Caucasian came in, the whole West Africa knew Caucasian that came in. You know what I'm saying? So these wasn't no white Jewish people. Alright, come on.
Until Askia Muhammad came to power in the 1492.
That sound like a white man, Muhammad? That don't sound like no white man to me. Yeah. Come on. And a lot of the Negroes who were in that land, we just read about the Arabs, right? The Arabs started to move that way, and they started to take over. They were doing it sneakily first. They had their, what do they call their priests? The priests, they come in, and then they befriend you, and then they bring new thoughts, new philosophies, new ways to do agriculture, new ways to do this, and then they start working up. They start gaining favor until they take over, until they become an important person within your clergy. That's how the Muslims did it. And then they start finding weaknesses, and that's when they started destroying it. Where you had the Christian movement in the 12th century, 13th century, 14th century, they used missionaries. They used women to come in and do it. With the Arabs, they did it different. I forget what they call them. Imams. They had their imams come in and do that, to bring new ways of thought. Come on.
Until Askia Muhammad came to power, and in 1492 decreed that all Jews either convert to Islam or leave the region.
See that? So the Africans had to either convert, leave the region, or be butchered. I got a book called The Land, How Islam Took Over Africa. And all those who didn't convert got hacked into pieces with machetes. All the men got hacked into pieces with machetes in front of the women. It's almost like the Willie Lynch book. Same thing. It's Willie Lynch scenario. All right? The Willie Lynch scenario has the same thing. Take the biggest guy, feather him, tar him, and beat him up. Put his arms on two horses and pull them apart. That's what the Arabs did. So this is what Esau got his theories from the Arabs. Okay?
What date is that?
So we should jump down to the highlighted version. We're going to end with after he stops reading this. Go ahead.
Zua Aliman is said to have traveled into West Africa along with his brother, and eventually established a local Jewish community,
A local Israelite
community between Mali and northern Nigeria. Some accounts place West African Israelite communities in the Ando forest of the Dohemi, south of Timbuktu. In the 1930s, these groups still maintain a Torah scroll written in Aramaic that have been burned into parchment with a hot iron instead of ink so that it could not be changed.
See that? So they were still keeping the laws, even in West Africa, but they didn't have HAMASHAYACH, YAHAWAHSHI. So go back to Romans 3 and read that. So there's history for you right there. There's all kinds of artifacts that prove that the Jews were in Rome. They were calling them Christians. They were whispering that they were Christians. So they get killed by saying they were Jews, because you had a lot of this stuff going on where they were getting banished. You read the history in Europe, Israelites got banished from these lands, from Spain, from Portugal, from Germany, from those lands. They got banished if they didn't follow the creed. Go ahead.
Romans chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Now what did he put on in Africa? What did he use? An iron to seal that thing so you couldn't even etch it out. We were given the oracles of the Most High to keep it forever, the commandments. That's the circumcision. Mentally we have to keep it. That's the circumcision. Come on.
For if some did not believe, shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar.
So what people on this entire planet does the Most High here? Israel. The Israelites. He don't care about nobody else. He only cares about his people. Let's go to Malachi 3 and 6.
He don't change.
He don't change, man. See, people here in America, they're trying to get you to believe you don't have to keep these commandments. That it's not for a certain people. That, you know, this stuff has been done away with. When they say the laws have been done away with, guess what else they're saying? The Israelites been done away with too. That's what they tell you. When they say the law has been done away with, Israel has been done away with too.
Well, that's a Joe Witness thing. My dumb uncle show said that.
Go there.
Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am the Lord.
6. You didn't say it.
Oh.
You just said 6. I didn't check. That's okay.
Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
Are not consumed. In other words, not forgotten. He said, I'm not going to forget about you, though the world may forget about you. Though your family members may forget about who the true Jews are, or the Israelites, I'm not going to forget. Read it again.
Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not.
I change not. Go ahead.
Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
Not consumed. Give me Isaiah 41 and 8. This is important. If we don't hold on to this stuff like a pit bull and just let it just go away and go along to get along, we're in for some trouble. This is serious. Those brothers in West Africa sealed it with the iron on a hard piece of stone.
They're never going to change it.
They knew their people, man. Our people are hard-headed. That's like you putting laws in this brick right here. You know what some J-Po do? He gonna come and repaint over. He gonna seal it up with some putty, and he gonna paint right over it. You do that right here in this room. Look, they put words up there, but they ain't gonna put the laws up there. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Al.
Isaiah chapter 41, verse 8. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham my friend.
My friend. That's what the Most High calls us. His friend. We're the only ones he calls his friend. He don't call the Moabites his friend. He don't call the Ammonites his friend. He don't call the Edomites. Definitely he don't call them his friend. He said he hates the Edomites. That's what the Most High said.
You only have
Keep going.
Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief of men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant. I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away.
He said, I'm choosing you as my servant forever, and you'll never be cast away. You'll never be consumed. Never. You may die, have a son, you're still not going to be consumed. Guess what? He has opportunity to get these laws, statutes, commandments. He don't die, have a son. He has opportunity. It's never going to be done away with. Ever. Give me Isaiah 45 and 4.
Isaiah chapter 49 verse 4.
45 and 4.
45 verse 4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect.
And Israel mine elect. Come on.
I have even called thee by thy name.
That's the important part. He called us by his name. Yasha Allah. Yasha Allah means he is a prince of power. What does the Most High name mean? Yahawah? A power.
a power, right?
He is the power. Yahawah the power.
Yahweh.
Who's the power?
Yahawah
the power. Who's the power? Yahawah's the power. That's who it is. Read that.
I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. I am the Lord, there is none else.
There is none else. No Buddha, no Krishna, no Seventh-day Adventist. There's none else. Come on.
Beside me, I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. That they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west, that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else.
There's none else. You stop right there. So he is none else. There's none else other than the Most High. So why doesn't the world acknowledge us? If they read the Bible, they should acknowledge us. No one in this earth. That's why you can say that you've been taught lies. Everywhere you go, people do not tell you who you are. They don't tell you what the 12 tribes are. You go to Sunday school, they don't tell you what they are.
But they try to graft themselves in.
They try to draft themselves in. If you was a fly on the wall in some Sunday school, and a child asked the teacher, who are the 12 tribes of Israel? She'll be like, everybody is. That would be the word.
Spiritual Israelites.
Spiritual Israelites. No, there's blood Israelites still living. That's why he said they'll never be consumed. Ever. Go ahead.
45 verse 7. Isaiah 45 verse 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
So us being in darkness right now, give me Isaiah 60:2. Us being in darkness is because the Most High allowed us to be in darkness for a small period of time. Got it? Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 16 verse 2. For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest.
Isaiah 60:2?
Oh, that's 60.
No, 60:2.
Isaiah chapter 60 verse 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people.
And gross darkness, is this talking about all the people? No, this is talking about his people. Darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. Go ahead.
But the Lord shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising.
Kings, you stop right there. Kings to the brightness of thy rising. So when is that going to happen?
When Christ comes back.
What does he have to set up first?
His kingdom.
Government.
His government rulership. His elect. Because right now the whole earth is out of course. That's why people, yeah, give me that. Psalms 82 and 5. The whole earth is out of course right now because, you know, we're in darkness. We're in darkness. The Most High allowed the gross darkness to come on because what? We broke the law, statutes, and commandments. Read that.
Psalm chapter 82 verse 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness.
That's what he said. We're in gross darkness. Come on.
All the foundations of the earth are out of course.
Everything is out of course. From the moon, quasars, stars, whatever up there in space, the Orion, all that, all the way down here to the core of this earth. Everything is out of whack. Everything. Look at the earth, man. All these elements and everything. I was telling this young lady, she said, I'm trying to watch this program on the Animal Planet, trying to figure out why all these turtles are dying. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, what happened? She said, well, wait. She said, wait, don't say that, I'm trying to find out. I said, okay. And she goes, oh, okay. Fishing, there's shrimp fishing boats. They're taking all the shrimp out of the ocean. I said, there it is. When you remove something out of the Most High's ecosystem, everything else dies. It's just the way it is. The Most High has an ecosystem. He tells us not to eat the shellfish. What do? Eat the shellfish, and the turtles die, and the snakes die, and everything die. Everything has a reason for being here. Yeah, I got something. Go ahead.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 36. If those are 35, thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea, and when the waves thereof roar, the Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from me, from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Right, so the Most High telling you, the ordinances are all out of whack. Israel, as long as Israel's here,
35, 39.
as long as Israel's here, the earth is still going to be here. But soon as Israel's moved out of the picture, say like they put us on ships and send us out of here and then kill us wherever they send us to. You know what I mean? Like they did, like Jim Jones did with the people in his church. Where did he send them? Guyana? Jim Jones take all these brothers and sisters, tell them that they're God's chosen people, didn't tell them they was Israelites, told them to meet him in Guyana, gave them the punch, the red punch, forced them to eat it, forced them to drink it. When they didn't drink it, guess what happened? They machine gun them off the land. Right? That can't happen to Israel. The Most High is not going to let all of Israel perish. You know, those were dumb sheep following what? The wolf. They were following the wolf. There's a lot of wolves in this day and time. That's why we tell you, brothers, that come into the truth, don't get pumped up thinking that you are the man, that you are God's chosen spokesman.
Be patient.
Yeah, be patient. None of us are that, because, you know, brothers come to the truth, they learn all these scriptures. Boom, 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 boom. Wow, I know all this information. Don't think that you are the man, man.
Right.
Humble down.
Stay humble, supposed to be humble.
Humble down, man, because what happened is you end up misleading people based off your pride. You know, it's just that quick. It happens just that easy. That's why we tell brothers all the time. Just take your time. Humble down, man. It'll come. You know, the longer you're in this truth, the more you mature, like wine. You know, wine is best when it's mature.
You're not going to learn all in one night.
Yeah, you're not going to learn this in one night. Impossible.
I want to learn the precepts.
Yeah, it takes time. Yeah, you got to have patience, man. I got a script for that. Go ahead. So, the important thing here is to know that the Most High acknowledges His people. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 2. As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that they may grow thereby.
So the sincere milk is what? What we're going over here. Learning, seeing each other. First and foremost, we're seeing each other. Secondly, we're here, we're going over the word. Thirdly, there's trust in here. You know what I'm saying? We trust each other. When there's no trust with brethren, then there's evil present. That's when you fell out the truth. When you hear brothers say, oh, he fell out the truth. You know how you fall out the truth? When you're lying to your brother. That's how you fall out the truth. You know how you fall out the truth? When you're lying to your wife. That's how you fall out the truth. You know what I mean? You're lying to your parents. That's how you kill your brother. That's how you left the truth. You know what I mean? Stealing. That's how you left the truth. Yeah, so what say, brother?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 5, verse 13. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those by whose reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
Right. So that's what we're trying to get in our bowels. Discernment. When you read Jonah, give me Jonah, the last verse in the book of Jonah. Remember, you know what was the problem with Nineveh? The problem with Nineveh was they didn't heed to the words that were spoken by the prophet Jonah. That's why it was destroyed 100 years later. Okay?
Last verse?
Yeah, give me the last verse of Jonah.
The book of Jonah, chapter 4, verse 11. And should not I spare Nineveh, that great city, wherein are more than 60,000 persons, that cannot discern between their right hand and their left hand.
They couldn't discern between their right hand and their left hand. Nineveh. Why? Because they didn't heed to these words, and they didn't do it with sound judgment, discernment. Is there more on that?
Yeah. And also much cattle.
Right. So it's telling you right there, that's the reason why Nineveh went off. They had no just discernment. So going back to what we were talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, the school systems are not going to tell you who you are. The churches are not going to even discuss it in Sunday school. They're not going to tell you who you are in the service of Sunday.
And all these false religions and conscious community hearing from their perspective ain't going to tell you what it is either.
Right.
Brothers like to get mixed
conscious
up
community ain't going to tell you.
Muslims and stuff, they don't know nothing about that.
But something you should think, ask your family this that are in Sunday churches. Ask them, when do you get to ask the pastor questions? Can you ask the pastor questions during the service or after the service is over with? You know what they're going to say? No, we can't ask questions. Why do they shun people asking questions? That's a problem.
They get irritated.
They get irritated.
Yes.
So that's a big issue. They're supposed to go in there like sheep and leave like sheep. When you can't ask somebody a question, there is a problem. Big problem. All right?
Malachi chapter 2, verse 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they that should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts.
Right. So the priest should be able to give you answers for your questions. And that's not what's being practiced today in school. You know what they tell you? Oh, that's why we have Sunday school. Yeah. That's why we have early morning service. No, I want to ask you, Pastor. You're over the congregation. I want to ask your second-hand picked man over here. I want to ask you. Can you answer this question? How come you haven't taught us that the Most High, thy power, is a man of color? How come you haven't told us about the 12 tribes of Israel? Why isn't that not important in this church? You know, very important stuff. Let's go to Psalms. Well, we read Psalms 82, right? Yeah. Let's go to Psalms 83, 2 and 5. 2 through 5. No one considers where they are. The Bible gives explanations. That's why we always say the Bible breaks down Bible. The Bible gives explanations. So there's no reason why a pastor shouldn't give you an explanation on anything. He's supposed to be the scholar of that congregation. Okay? He's supposed to be the scholar. Come on.
Psalms chapter 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
So the crafty counsel falls also on the churches that are teaching the people. It's the same counsel. In order for them to get that church, they have to follow this crafty counsel. Come on.
And consulted against thine hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
That's why I said everybody could be an Israelite, brother. Everybody is a Jew nowadays. Come on.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee. Give me Jeremiah 33 and 24. So he's telling you right there why they don't teach us who we are in the churches. It's crafty counsel. That's why I told that sister, that older sister, she thought she knew what we was talking about. Did y'all see her? She thought she knew what we was talking about until I said, does your pastor teach you what color the Lord is?
She turned all the way around.
She turned all the way around.
Started shaking her head laughing. She didn't even look at me.
She couldn't say that. She knew. I said, sister, they ain't taught you this in 30 years.
She looked in.
She looked in, right?
Right.
That's why you got to call them out. That's why he said, stretch out your hand, touch them. Tell them what you believe. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 33, verse 24. Considerest thou not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which the Lord hath chosen, he hath even cast them off? Thus they have despised my people.
They have what? Despised the people of the Most High, which are who? The 12 tribes of Israel. Come on.
That they should no more a nation, there shall be no more a nation before them.
Right. That's what they try to do. Cut us off. They don't want us talking. As long as people are not gathering around us, guess what? They're content with you going out there speaking. They don't care. As soon as people start gathering, oh, there's a problem.
24.
All right, there's a problem. Give me Daniel 7 and 25.
They sent some scoffers out.
Oh, they send scoffers. Yeah, they send little scholars. You know, 7 and 25.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he spake great words against the Most High.
Right, so when they cut us off from being a nation, they spoke what? Great words against the Most High. Come on.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most
And
High.
they're wearing us out right now. Here we are waking up to the truth. We know who the saints are now. Guess what they're doing? Wearing you out. No, you're not. I'm an Israelite. No, you're not. No, you're not. You know, wearing us out. Come on.
And to think to change the times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
Right, so this is what's going on now. We've been given into his hand. So what did the HAMASHAYACH have to say about that? What do you have to say about that? If this man was going to rule, and who did Christ talk about? We always got to go back to what he talked about. Let's go to Matthew 10 and 22. Who did he come for? If the Israelites were done away with?
Matthew chapter 10, verse 22. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake.
Why? Why are we going to be hated for all time for his name's sake? Why are we going to be hated?
Not because we trying to graft everybody in, because we come on to the Israelites.
We're waking up to who we are. We know that we came from the same lineage as Christ. Not only that, we know that why he came back. He came back to save the children of Israel. That's why he came back. So we're acknowledging him and he's acknowledging us based on us finding out who we are on our nationality. Go ahead.
But he that endureth to the end shall be saved.
Right. So by you saying all of this, that you're an Israelite, you're making it look like Christ is only coming to get you. And it's the truth. He is only coming to get you. Give me Matthew 15:24.
Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Right, so he was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he's telling you, who would he come for? The lost sheep. Who are we? We're lost. Why are we lost? Hosea 4:6. Hosea 4:6. We are lost because, why? Because this right here. Hosea 4:6.
Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law.
Forgotten the what?
Forgotten the law.
That's Deuteronomy 28 all day. Because we forgot the law, he has forgotten us. That's why we're lost. That's why crafty counsel is present. That's why we don't have the things that we desire or need. We got just enough to comfort us. We get just enough to comfort ourselves. Come on.
Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
Right. So he forgot our children. He forgot the elderly. He forgot everybody. Give me Hosea 7:19. Go ahead.
As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore I will change their glory into shame.
That's what's going on now. You got something to say on that? Yeah, I mean Hosea 7:9. I mean it's elementary. When you look at this, when you look at these curses that's on us, and you look at the time frame that we're in, 2018, and you look at all the things that has happened in the past, the arrows all point towards us. Everything going on, the arrows point to us. When you look at the founding fathers of America, what do you see? What do you see on all the money?
Eagle.
You see the eagle and you see Edomites.
Right, yeah.
Everywhere. Every single dollar bill, you got an Edomite. There's not one brother on $1 all the way up to $1 trillion, gazillion dollars. Nowhere. But we're supposed to be equal. Where's the American Indians? How come that? They used to be on the nickel. I think they used to be on the back of the nickel back in the day. American Indians. Remember that?
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. They're not even on the money no more.
They changed that real quick.
Yeah.
Was they on the back of the nickel getting shot
I
at?
think that was Sitting Bull. And Sitting Bull was the Edomite. He was an Edomite. His father was the Edomite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, his mother was the Edomite. So, I mean, he was a white man too.
Hey, but was he fighting against the Edomites?
No. In the beginning. But then he changed over. He gave in. He gave in. That's why he's prestige. Anytime our forefathers gave in, they got some kind of clout. Frederick Douglass gave in, what did they make him? A marshal over the United States. Right? Anytime, yeah. That's what they gave him.
Hey, Frederick Douglass, he was a father of a slave. He was the son of a slave too. His mother was Negro. His father was
right, I heard that.
Caucasian.
Right,
now, even if you look it up, if you say Frederick Douglass' parents, it'll tell you his mother name, and it'll say his father is an unknown slave master.
Unknown slave master. See that?
And Booker T. Washington, the same thing.
So they act like they follow the matriarch, the so-called white man, but they follow the patriarch behind closed doors. That's crafty counsel now. That's a form of crafty counsel.
Yeah.
When you look at any of the heroes that you see that they put forth out of there, they normally corrupted them. Martin Luther King got corrupted at the end. Even though he got his words out at the end, what did Harry Belafonte say?
Oh, he said that Martin Luther King said that right after he gave that speech, when he went back to the hotel room, they was partying over the speech he gave. I Have a Dream speech.
Right.
He said Martin Luther King was looking worried, and he asked Martin Luther King what was wrong. He said, I feel I just led my people into a burning building.
You're right. He just
integration.
And what did they give you? Martin Luther King Day.
Right. But they only give you I Have a Dream speech when that day is.
That's it.
They don't tell about the real Martin Luther King's thoughts.
Yeah, that was the day before he got shot. I think, too. The very day before he got shot.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right.
So, you know, you see all the stuff. Anytime our people gain something, it's because they gave in or they got corrupted. You look at Marcus Garvey, does he have anything?
Damn statue.
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
They don't have nothing. They hated him. They killed him before he was even dead by publishing in the United States newspaper, I think in the Post newspaper in D.C., that he had a heart attack and died. He was banned from the United States and was living in Great Britain.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was Great Britain. He was reading the paper. Somebody sent him the paper of his death. He saw it in the paper, and then he had a heart attack because he couldn't believe they was lying on him.
Wow.
Yeah. So anybody that was of some kind of potential figure of supporting our people, they got dogged out. They got no clout whatsoever. Anybody who gave in got what?
You know, so funny.
Got gifts.
Got gifts.
And Muhammad
Gift destroyed the heart.
That's right.
Muhammad Ali didn't become important to them until after he lost his mind.
Right.
Then all of a sudden they got him to Right. They got him participating in the Olympics.
Right.
All these Edomites always talking so great about him.
Side.
Man, he didn't like Edomites, man.
Right.
He said sprayed it. They said that his illness came from it said FBI sprayed his cabin up in the Michigan Hill Mountains. He had a cabin where he trained at during his off season before he started boxing. They said the FBI sprayed his cabin with this chemical that you inhale in, and they said that because his cabin was made out of wood, it stuck in his cabin. So to the point when you came into that cabin and you breathed in those chemicals and didn't know it.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few different stories on how he caught that Parkinson's disease. You know, it's just weird. When you see all the other boxers, you don't see too many other boxers with that.
Right.
You know, you see the football players, they have that condition, but they don't have the Parkinson's disease.
Right.
You know, with the head, with constant head injuries.
Right.
So yeah, it just makes you think a little bit. What actually happened?
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. That's why I say, you know, when you come in this truth, man, this is we bring it all the time, man. Ephesians 6:11. You know what I mean? When you come in this truth,
Prepare yourself.
you gotta prepare yourself. This is why I tell brothers and sisters, when you come in this truth, man, some like take it as a game. This is not a game. This is for real. You know what I mean? And we dealing with the elements. Some stuff we can't even deal with, but Esau is doing. Like I said, they could have somebody infiltrate. Y'all, I mean, I'm just saying this is really serious when you come in this truth, because the elements, the people that's ruling, you don't think that they don't let we in here? Or they
can reach out. They can reach out and touch you without touching you.
Right.
You know, there's other ways they can get to you.
Right. Even you know, when you do some study of the Israelites that had schools that did get infiltrated by the government. You know what I mean? And you see those things, you be like, dang, how could he do that? You know what I mean? But in the scriptures, it does say that's going to happen in the last days anyway. You know, you can have brothers that are going to betray brothers. You know, whether it's money or substance that the enemy's going to destroy what we're doing. So don't think it can't happen here, but it can.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why, you know, just tell brothers, like, look, man, be patient when you're in this truth. And, you know, thank the brothers that you have with you. You know, like I said, sometimes it's not always be good to have 300 people in your camp.
Right.
You know, so, you know, so.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, we got him to protect us, and we just got to roll with the faith, man.
Right.
We got to roll with it. You mean Hosea 7:19? Hosea 7:9. 7:9, I'm sorry. Hosea 7:9.
Hosea chapter 7 verse 9. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth not.
Why doesn't he know it? He doesn't know it because he doesn't know the laws. The pre-slips don't keep knowledge. We're destroyed for not knowing the Most High's laws. Right?
Wow.
We believe our heritage was where they say it was, which is South America and Africa being slaves, you know, not doing the things that, you know, a civilized man would do. Right? Until you read up on your history. That's why we tell you, do your research. There's so much information out there that shows you how we lived in West Africa. So much research that shows you that there was Negroes who ruled in Europe. You know, If you don't do your research, you'll never know it. And you'll think what they tell you.
That's why in Revelation 1:1, YAHAWAHSHI told you, blessed are those that read it.
Blessed are those that read it, right? That's
Even
very,
he
very
said it.
important.
You know, even he said it.
Right.
First couple.
And remember in Jeremiah chapter 16 and 19, get that real quick? Jeremiah 16 and 19. We have to remember what the end prophecies say. If we can read what the end prophecies say, that means these things are happening right now. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies.
Lies. Our fathers have. Have meaning what? Present tense, past tense. Have, has, had, past tense. Meaning that's during this time. Our forefathers are inheriting lies. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand that, man. We have to understand when we read books, certain books, some books are just totally off. That's why we tell a lot of y'all, don't worry about reading some of these other books. Just focus in on the Bible and the Apocrypha, the 1611 version. You ain't got to read all them other books. Now, when we bring out these other books that we show you about where we were in those days, that's different because now we're researching archaeology, we're researching our culture, our inheritance, what we did, if we relate it back to the Israelites. And that's what we're finding out, that it all relates back to the Israelites. And it's telling us that those were the Israelites. We just read it in 2 books. Okay? 2 out of 1,000. All right? So we have to remember that. Give me Romans 11 and 1. We read this earlier in the camp. Paul is telling you the same thing. Listen to this.
Romans 11, chapter 1. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid.
No. Go ahead.
For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
So he's telling you the tribe that he come from. And he's telling you that the Israelites are still here. Even then they was trying to do away with us. They was trying to cast out the people who were called Israel. Even then. Go ahead.
God have not cast away his people which he foreknew. What ye not what the scripture saith of Isaiah, how he maketh intercession to God and Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life.
Right, come on.
But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee unto the image of Baal.
So right there, when he says he has reserved 7,000 men, what kind of men are these?
Israelite men.
These are Israelite men. See, people read that and they say, oh, this is in the New Testament. These are men that believe in God.
They take it out of context.
Yeah, they take it out of context. Who are these men? When you read in 2 Kings and 2 Samuels, Elijah was running from Jezebel. Ran into a cave, and the cave was full of Israelite prophets that were hiding from Jezebel. Full of them. Obadiah saw Elijah and fell down to his knees when you read that in the scriptures. Go ahead.
For they have killed thy prophets and digged down thy altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. Verse 4. But what saith the Lord God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so that at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
Stop right there. So there is a remnant this present time. So if the 7,000 men that wouldn't bow knee to Baal was then were Israelites, who is this remnant? Israelites. This is what you read when you read Revelation chapter 7. 12,000 from this tribe. 12,000 from Judah. 12,000 from Benjamin. 12,000 from Levi. That's the remnant. You know? He says that the meek shall inherit the earth, right? In Matthew chapter 5, tells you that. The meek shall inherit the earth. This is what Christ is saying. Let me show you who the meek are. Give me Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 3. Let me show you the meek. If he says the meek shall inherit the earth, see, everybody think that anybody can be the meek. No, everybody can't be the meek.
It also tells you in the book of Psalms also who the meek are.
Okay.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 3. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
Okay, so it don't say Israel there. So read the first verse.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Ye gather together, O nation not desired.
Okay, who is the nation not desired? Gather ye together. Give me Genesis 49:1. Let's find out who he's talking about gathering. Let's find out.
That was Zephaniah 2 and 3 and 2 and 1. Right?
And 2 and 1. Let's find out who this gathering should be. Genesis 49:1.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
So here's Jacob saying, sons, gather yourselves together. This is what's going to befall you in the end times. Then you have Zephaniah saying, gather yourselves together. Who was Zephaniah talking to? The 12 tribes of Israel. He hasn't changed. Like we read in Malachi 3 and 6, the Most High has not changed. That's why this whole thing is about Israel.
He ain't author of the confusion.
Isaiah 26 and 20.
Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as if it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed.
So how are we going to hide ourselves if we're the people that's gathered together? What are we going to use to hide ourselves?
This word, law.
That's right. The law, statutes, and commandments, and our gathering is going to seal us and protect us. That's why he said in Ezekiel 9 and 4, go through the midst of the city and smite and kill those who do not have the mark of the Most High. That's the hiding. That's how you're going to hide. That's how the Most High is going to hide us. With the mark on our heads. Not in our arm, but in our heads. Alright? Give me Revelation 12 and 12. That's how he's going to hide us. Revelation chapter 12 and 12. Right?
Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth that are of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time.
He know if he has a short time. That's what we're dealing with. The last 1,000 years has been his time to rule. That's why you see the whole earth is in chaos. The whole place is in chaos, man. Oil, all jacked up. They're putting chemicals in oil, something that's natural. Why are you putting chemicals in oil? It naturally bubbles. It naturally is rich. How is that polluting the land? Do y'all know what was in San Francisco back in 1910, 1905, or in Manhattan, or in these big cities, Chicago? What was there? What was in the city? Was there any vehicles? Was there any cars?
Trees.
What were the cars?
Horse and carriage.
Horse and carriage.
Yeah.
Horse and carriage and buggy.
Yeah.
Now, when horse carriage and buggy goes to the city, what happens with all those horses? They eat, and what comes out of them?
Manure.
Manure. The whole city didn't smell like piss like today. The whole city smelled like horse manure. Somebody got to clean that up. That's nitrogen, right? So somebody got smart and said, you know what? Let's make a car, man. Tired of shoveling all this crap. You know what I'm saying?
That was Jake.
Jake, right? Jake was the one picking up the.
That's a bit
Right. It was Israel picking up the crap.
Right.
What do you think they used the American Indians for? Or the Mexicans? Or the Negroes? They needed slaves, man. To do what? To pick up the manure. Nobody ever thinks about that. The whole city was full of crap. So Jake is the one that invented the cars.
Right.
Okay? He got tired of picking up crap.
You got Jen.
Right. Then you had, what's his name? What's the inventor of the bean? What's his name?
George
Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver.
Peanut.
Who do you think, when the car was manufactured by Jake and Ford took it over, guess who Ford went to get to lubricate the whole car? George Washington Carver.
Yeah.
Lubed the whole car up. Now it can run. Guess what he used to lube it up with? Beans. So then the white man said, you know what? I'm going to come up with something else. These doggone Arabs over here got this oil I'm going to go and get this oil from these Arabs, and I'm going to substitute it for the beans. And so now we got oil in the cars, and what is the oil doing? Polluting the land. Everything the so-called white man comes up with, what? Destroys the land.
There you go. Fracking.
Everything.
Yeah, fracking.
And then it said in Genesis that everywhere he would go, the land will not produce her increase.
Right. Think about it. What is oil in? Concrete, tires, pesticides, tables, makeup, everything. Oil is in, and what is it doing? Destroying us.
Yeah, I was watching National Geographic the other day on TV,
Yeah.
and they had a little minor town up in, I think, Alaska. It was a little minor town, a mining town.
Okay.
And they said that it was thriving at one time. When the gold rush was going,
Right.
all these Edomites came and rushed it. They sucked the whole town dry for its resources. It no longer produces, I think it was oil, I think.
See that?
They sucked it dry and then they left. Now the whole town's like a ghost town.
Yeah.
Nobody lives there no more because
Right.
they sucked it dry.
They sucked it dry.
Esau don't know how to stop, man.
So nitrogen is used for what? Gunpowder,
Right.
right? What else? Dynamite. So I mean, you got different things that you gotta understand with Jake, man. We did a lot of the dirty work, and the reason why we came up with the inventions is to make things a little easier for ourselves.
Right.
And once Esau got the inventions, they took their mind another.
Right.
Yeah, ran off with it. Deal, kill, and destroy.
This is like they said. They said that they said the ancient Chinese was using gunpowder as a medicinal type of method,
Right.
and Esau came up with the spark
Right.
of
see that?
gunpowder and dealt with the gun.
So I mean, guns now are made to kill. That's Esau's invention too. So I mean, we have to understand that the Most High is not going to put up with this too much longer. He ain't going to put up with this thing. Give me Job 17:9. Now, how must the meek become? Job 17:9.
Job chapter 17, verse 9. The righteous shall hold on his way. The righteous also shall hold on his way. And he that hath clean hands shall be stronger and stronger.
How are you going to be stronger and stronger with clean hands? Once you close the Bible, guess what? It's closed. What you remember out this Bible is going to allow you to grow stronger and stronger and be able to walk in this earth and know right from wrong. Okay? Go to the 10th verse.
Job chapter 17, verse 10. But as for you all, do ye return and come now, for I cannot find one wise man among you.
Why? Because we forgot our laws. We're not growing stronger and stronger. We're growing dumber and dumber. Give me Ecclesiastes 7:27. Ecclesiastes 7:27.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 27. Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one, to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those I have not found. And lo, this day have I found that God hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions.
Which makes them wicked. It makes them wicked. So he's telling you, look, he has not found not one wise man amongst us out of 1,000. But even that one man can be overcome by these wicked inventions. You can have a brother that's doing righteousness, but can't give up social media. Get caught up with the social media. So I mean, the Most High is searching for that remnant. That's what we're going down to, that remnant. He refreshes us all the time, everywhere with what? With his Bible. Everywhere we go, we see his Bible.
What verse is that? 7?
Ecclesiastes 7:27 and 29. Give me Isaiah 43 and 1.
Isaiah chapter 43, verse 1. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine.
Thou art mine. He called us by his name. Come on.
Thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee.
This is how he's going to hide us. He's going to protect us. Come on.
For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave up Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee.
Right. He gave up all these nations for us. Come on.
Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore I will give men for thee, and people for thy life.
Come on, look. He's going to give us servants and people for our lives. You don't know how many people have fell for you right now, just for you to get this far in life. How many Gentiles don't fell in y'all way to save y'all or to get y'all out of danger? Most High gave them for you. You know what I'm saying?
You get that verse the past, that verse you just read, Isaiah 43 and 3.
Yeah.
And ask them about that.
It's so funny, but all the Gentile nations have failed to us. We just got one last one that's in our way, man.
Yeah, but I'm talking about also on the spiritual level.
Right.
From you being a child.
Yeah.
When you came into this earth, who brought you out of your mama's womb? Probably some Gentile. Probably some Gentile.
Right.
You were a king coming out. You didn't even know it.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Your whole life, man, you're getting fed by what? The scriptures tell you in Revelation 12 that the woman got fed by the beast. We got fed. We've been getting fed since we've been here. The Gentiles have laid down their lives for us. Literally. Whether you know it or not, you can't see behind the backgrounds.
And you know what? And that's a stumbling block in itself when you say the woman.
Yeah.
Because when you go, I think it's in the book of Isaiah where it says, I have likened Israel to
a
that
woman.
Like, right. So we're the woman.
We're the woman.
Right. Yeah.
So the Most High has been protecting us all this time.
Man.
How do you think we get married to Christ? The church.
Yeah. Keep reading on.
Isaiah 43, verse 5. Fear not, I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the
I'm
west.
telling you, you're going to get us from the west too. Come on.
I will say to the north, give up.
Give up. That's all you got to say. There's no fight whatsoever. Give up. Give up his people. It's like he said, come up hither. We gone. Just speaking it. Come on.
And to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth, even every one that is called by my name. For I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, yet I have made him.
That's it. So I mean, the Most High, this is all regarding his chosen. His chosen people who we've been talking about this whole day.
You can't run from this, man.
You
You don't want to jump in no other ideology.
The Most High is telling us who we are, man.
It's the end all be all right here.
End all be all. Give me James 1. We might as well go there, man. Because he's telling you, this is James in the New. This is what disturbs Christians. When you bring this verse out, because it's in the New Testament. They like, just stay. When you go to the Old Testament, what you're doing is beating them up. They getting punches from everywhere. So they say, go to the New Testament. Keep the gloves on. You know, no more mixed martial arts. Just straight boxing. You know what I'm saying? So when you hit them with this, give me that James 1:1.
James chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of God, of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
They can't take that. They can't digest that. What are you talking about, 12 tribes scattered abroad? They're in Israel. No, 12 tribes are scattered abroad. He just said 12, not one.
Right.
All right, keep going.
My brethren.
My brethren. He didn't say, he didn't call the Gentiles his brethren. Come on.
Count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations.
Why are these tribes in exile? And why are they having so many problems? Give me Revelation 13:6. Why are we in exile?
Revelation chapter 13, verse 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God.
This is the heathen nations. This is the fourth kingdom. Open his mouth and blasphemy against who?
Against God.
Against the Most High. Come on.
To blaspheme his name.
Blaspheme his name.
And his tabernacle.
His tabernacle.
And them that dwell in heaven.
And his people. We're the ones who dwell in heaven. Here on this earth is heaven. 3 things he did. Blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, which is Israel, and what else? His people. 3 things, and he's still doing it today. Go to verse 9. Go all the way to 9.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints.
Wait a minute. Now he's making war with the saints. Come on. Why is he making war with the saints when he gave them, when he already took the tabernacle, he already took the people, and he took his name? Why is he making war with us? Come on.
And to overcome them. And power was given to him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
All right, so look at that right there. Keep going.
If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Let them hear. So there's a people doing this to us. Who is the people doing this to us? Fighting us. Revelation 2 and 9. Who is this people doing this to us?
Revelation chapter 2 verse 9. I know thy works, and tribulation and poverty.
Okay.
But thou art rich. I know the blasphemy of them that would say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
Now, is Caesar Borgia part of that?
Yeah.
Caesar Borgia is part of that. He put himself up as who? Christ, which is from the tribe of Judah. So Caesar Borgia is from what? The synagogue of Satan. What century did he come in? The 15th century. Where was he at? Rome. Where was the men that crucified YAHAWAHSHI?
Rome.
Rome. Who were the slaves of Rome? The Negroes. We just read that. Israelite slaves. So here we are reading this stuff, and you got to put the puzzle together. So Caesar Borgia, what was he? A politician? A nobleman? A cardinal? He's a king? A rapist? A homosexual? He's all of this. Huh?
They got a word about him called cryptide poisoners. He's a poisoner. He's a poison too.
Give me Daniel 7:23. That's right. So if he's making battle with the saints that we read in Revelation 12, Revelation 13, let's see how this all fit into the pot.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth.
The fourth beast, that's what we read about earlier. Come on.
Which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth.
The whole earth. Rome didn't devour the whole earth. Right? Not in the beginning. Now it has. Come on.
Devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and shall break it into pieces.
Okay, so now Rome has been broken into pieces. That's where you get all these different nations. Spain, France, Germany, Russia, Great Britain, Ireland, America, etc. Come on.
And 10 horns.
Not to mention Portugal. Those were the first ones that came after us. Come on.
And 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first.
Who's that one that's diverse from the first? This one. Come on.
And he shall subdue 3 kings.
Come on.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High. And to think to change the times and the laws.
Keep going.
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
Come on.
But the judgment shall sit.
The judgment shall be still. The judgment is sitting, and we're coming out of that judgment. Coming up out of it in a minute. Come on.
And they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven.
Stop. So it says, but the judgment shall sit. Ponder on that. He says the judgment shall sit.
Wait on.
That means that all this time we've been in judgment. Curses. Right? That's been our time of judgment. Now, he's saying that we're going to take over this kingdom. Come on.
And shall sit and take away his dominion to consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High.
That's right.
Whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. And all dominions shall serve and obey him.
That's it. You can start right there. Give me Revelation 12 and 17. Let's go back. Let's go back to where we just left off at. So he's telling you that the saints are going to rule. We got about 4 verses and we'll be done.
Revelation chapter 12 verse 17. Verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
With the remnant. Remember, we keep talking about this remnant. These are not a lot of people. That's why you can't wake up everybody. Everybody not going to get it. It's a remnant. That's the hard part about being in this truth. You want everything to be like a Christian church. It's not going to be like a Christian church. It's not going to be like a mega church. None of that. This is a lonely walk. A remnant.
So you got your own salvation.
Right. Come on.
Which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Most people can't stand the commandments of God. They can't stand it, and he can't stand them. So what the truth is, it's like this. It's peaceful after you understand the laws.
Right, exactly.
While you're going through the laws, it's difficult.
Right.
Because your body is struggling.
Right.
The old man is warring with the new man.
Right.
All day long. It's a war, man. Yourself hates yourself. That's what you're battling. I hate my old self. The old self hates the new self. And that's a war within. That's the biggest war Israelites fight.
That's right.
That war. Once you get the understanding of the laws and you've been matured in this a while, then it gets peaceful.
Right, exactly.
Then it gets peaceful. Then you understand tribulation. Then you understand it. But in the beginning, oh, it's a war. Oh, man, it's terrible. The worst war you've ever been in your life. You know? So, you know, basically what we are in is the time of our restoration. That's the time that we're in now. We're restoring ourselves. That's why I tell you, brothers, don't get down on yourselves. You know, just keep moving. Don't get down on yourselves. Stay strong in this truth. Keep moving. And you'll get through it. Give me Jeremiah 29 and 14. Jeremiah 29, verse 14.
Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 14. And I be found of you, saith the Lord.
He said, I will be found of you. You're going to find me. Come on.
And I will turn away your captivity. And I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you.
Now, why did he say, I'll be found of you? He didn't say, I'm going to find you. He already knows where you are. He says, I will be found of you.
Like as if we would wake up to this.
Yeah, we got to wake up to this. He been knew where we were. He said he's in the midst of us. His Bible's been right here with us the whole time. He says, seek, and you will find it. He says, knock on the door, and the door shall be what? Open. You just got to look for it. All right, go ahead.
I have driven you, saith the Lord. I will bring you again into the place whence I have caused you to be carried away captive.
So we're going back to the land. Go to Jeremiah 30 and 3.
Got a big shredding machine in there.
Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 3. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord. I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
Possess it. Give me Ezekiel 34 and 16. We're going to possess it again.
You say Ezekiel 34 and 16?
Here's a secret. Those who are going to rise from the dead, guess what? They're going to live again. We talked about this, right, brother? Was not Lazarus raised from the dead?
That's right.
Did he live again? Did he die again? He died again. You may live a lot longer in the next life, right? But you're going to die, and then when you die, you're going to have the law. You're going to have perfection. So when you get raised, when the Father comes, then you're going to be in the spiritual bodies. You're not going to need a body. Okay? Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 16. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and I will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick, and I will destroy the fat and the strong, and I will feed them with judgment.
I will feed them with judgment. All right?
He said, didn't Christ say, I come to save which was lost?
Yeah.
He confirmed the Most
He
High.
confirmed it. Give me Matthew 19:27 and what end with this. So the Israelites are still here.
That's probably why they took it out from birth.
Yeah.
You said what, 19?
19:27.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all.
We have lost all
and followed thee.
and followed you.
What shall we have therefore?
What are you going to give us after all of that?
And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me, In the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Why not get the 12 disciples to sit in the kingdom and tell us how Christ was? Why not? They was with him. They was with him. They're going to tell us right from wrong. They was with him the whole time. They're going to judge the 12 tribes of Israel. They're going to be rose from the dead, and they're going to teach us, along with the elect.
I got no script on that. No, that's verse.
Go ahead.
Verse 29, and everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life.
You shall inherit everlasting life.
Man,
See that?
that's what we're looking to.
We're going to get it all back.
100-fold.
All praises. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. All praise to the Most High. HAMASHAYACH.
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.